Chapter 9 Lost and Found. Early the next morning, a typed index card was tacked to the elevator's back wall. Lost. Important business papers of no value to anyone but the owner. Please return to Sidel Pulaski, 3C. No questions asked. The shorthand notebook was not returned, but the idea of a bulletin board was an instant success. By late afternoon, the elevator was papered with notices and filled with tenants facing sideways and backwards, reading as they rode up and down. Lost. Silver cross on filigree chain, topaz pin and earrings, gold-filled cufflinks. Return to Grace Windsor Wexler, 3D. Reward. All players willing to discuss sharing their clues come to the coffee shop tomorrow, 10 a.m. Whoever stole my Mickey Mouse clock better give it back. Just leave it in the hall in front of apartment 3D when no one's looking. Turtle Wexler. Order down, not up, or come on up to the 5th floor and dine in elegance at Shin Hu's restaurant, specializing in exquisite Chinese cuisine. Lost. String of pearls. Sentimental value. If found, please bring them to apartment 2C. Thank you, Flora Bombach. Dressmaking and alterations reasonably priced. Found. 6 clues. The following clues printed on squares of Westing toilet tissue were found in the 3rd floor hallway. Braided, kicking, tortoise, brat. I'm having an informal party this evening from 8 o'clock on. You are all invited. Please come. J.J. Ford, apartment 4D. Turtle, whenever you are, be home at 7:30 sharp. Your loving mother. Mom, I'm home. No one else was. On reading Mrs. Wexler's note in the elevator, Flora Bombach had insisted, "You must do what your mother says." When Turtle replied, "Like showing her our clues?" Flora Bombach's answer was, "Perhaps so. After all, she is your mother." Flora Bombach was sappy, always smiling that dumb smile, always so polite to everybody, and so timid. When they had finally reached a snowbound broker, Flora Bombach was so nervous she dropped the telephone. Turtle had to admit to some nervousness herself, but it was the first real order she had ever placed. For a minute there, she thought she might choke on the thumping heart that had jumped into her throat, but she had pulled off the transaction like a pro. Now, if only the stock market would go up, she'd show Mr. Westing about refining gold. The next part of the will would read, "Whichsoever pair made the most money with the $10,000 inherits the whole estate." She was sure of it. "Oh, there you are." Grace Wexler acted as if Turtle was the tardy one, but she quickly sweetened. "Come, dear, let's go to your room and I'll fix your hair." Her mother sat behind her on the edge of the narrow bed, loosened the dark brown hair, and brushed it to a gloss. She had not done that with such care in a long, long time. "Have you eaten?" "Mrs. Bombach made me a dinner." Turtle felt the fingers dividing the hair into strands. Her mother was so warm, so close. "Your poor father's probably starving. He's been so busy on the phone, changing appointments and all." "Dad's eating in the coffee shop. I just saw him there." Turtle had dashed in, shouting, "The braided tortoise strikes again!" and kicked a surprised Theo in the shin. It was Doug Hoot, not Theo, who had made the sign. Her mother twisted the 3 strands into a braid. "I think you should wear your party dress tonight. You look so pretty in pink." Pretty? She had never used that word before. Not about her. What's going on? "You know, sweetheart, I'm rather hurt that you won't tell your own mother about your clues." So that was it. She should have known. "My lips are sealed," Turtle said defiantly. "Just one eensy-beensy clue," Grace wielded, winding a rubber band around the end of the braid. Turtle replied through sealed lips. Angela came into the small room and tugged Turtle's braid. Only her sister could get away with that. Beaming on her favorite, Grace took her hand, then gasped, "Angela, where's your engagement ring?" "I have a rash on my finger." Thump, thump. Sidel Pulaski appeared in the doorway. "Hi, what's everybody doing in the closet?" "See, I told you this is a closet," Turtle said. Grace ignored the complaint. It did no good being nice to that ungrateful child, never satisfied, always whining about something or other. "Oh, hello, Miss Pulaski." "I've been feeling a bit weakly, thank you, but nothing can keep me from a party." Sidel's clutch was painted in black and white squares to match her black and white checkered dress. Her large hoop earrings were also black and white. The white one dangled from her left ear, the black from her right. "The party is such a lovely idea," Grace said, warming up to the owner of the shorthand notes. "When I saw the invitation in the elevator, I suggested to Mr. Hu that he call the judge to see if she needed hors d'oeuvres, and sure enough, he got an order for 6 dozen. She turned to Angela. Hadn't you better get dressed, dear? It's getting late. It's too bad Dr. D can't escort you to the party, but your father and I will take you. Angela and I are going together. We're partners, you know. Siddell had it all planned. They were to appear in identical costumes. Tonight was the night they would discover if one of the heirs was a twin. I'm going to the party with Mrs. Baumbach, Turtle remarked. The sign said everyone's invited. Again, Grace ignored her. By the way, Miss Pulaski, do you hope you've changed your mind about showing me your notes? It was the secretary's turn to seal her lips. She wouldn't put it past that uppity Grace Windsor Wexler to steal the notebook from an unfortunate cripple and then rub it in. Grace tried again, her voice dripping with honey. You know, of course, that if I do win the inheritance, everything I own goes to Angela. Turtle bounded up. Let me out of here. A person can't breathe in this closet. She kicked the bed, kicked the chair, kicked the desk, and elbowed past the disapproving secretary. What in the world is wrong with that child? Her mother said. Judge Ford was instructing Theo in the art of bartending when the telephone rang. The snowbound newspaperman had found several items in the files. First, the engagement announcement of Angela Wexler to D. Denton Deere. Next, several clippings on a lawsuit brought against Sam Westing by an investor named Hold on, please. Mr. Hu waddled in with a large tray of appetizers. The judge pointed him to the serving buffet and apologized to her caller. I'm sorry, would you repeat that name? James Hu. He claimed Westing stole his idea of the disposable paper diaper. 1 minute, please. The judge cupped her hand over the mouthpiece. Please don't leave, Mr. Hu. I was hoping you'd stay for the party. As a guest, of course. Your wife and son, too. Hu grunted. He hated parties. He had seen his fill of people eating and drinking and acting like clowns, jabbering like, so that's it. Jabbering, dropping clues. I'll be right back. The receiver hissed with an impatient sigh. Then the researcher went on. I've got a thick file of sports items on another Hu. A Doug Hu. Seems he runs a pretty fast mile for a high school kid. That's all I could find on the names you gave me, but I still have stacks of Westing clippings to go through. Thank you so much. The doorbell rang. The party was about to begin. Chapter 10. The Long Party. I hope we're not too early. Grace Windsor Wexler always arrived at parties fashionably late, but not tonight. She didn't want to miss a thing, or a clue, or raid around in her apartment with a murderer on the loose. I don't think you've met my husband, Dr. Wexler. Call me Jake. Hello, Jake. Judge Ford said, a firm handshake, laugh lines around his eyes. He needed a sense of humor with that social climbing wife. What a lovely living room, so practically furnished, Grace commented. Our apartments are identical in layout, but mine looks so different. You must come see what I've done with it. I'm a decorator, you know. 3 bedrooms do seem rather spacious for a single woman. What does she mean, 3 bedrooms? This is a 1-bedroom apartment. Would you care for an appetizer, Mrs. Wexler? I'm curious to know exactly how you are related to the Westing family. The judge had hoped to take the heiress by surprise, but Grace gained time by coughing. Goodness, that ginger is spicy. It's the Szechuan cooking style, you know. How am I related? Let me see. Uncle Sam was my father's oldest brother. Or was he the youngest brother of my father's father? Excuse me, I have to greet my other guests. The judge left the prattling pretender. Father's brother or father's father's brother, if the relationship was on the paternal side of her maiden name would be Westing. The party went on and on. No one dared be first to leave. Safety in numbers, especially with a judge there. So the guests ate and drank and jabbered, and they watched the other guests eat and drank and jabbered. No one laughed. I guess murder isn't very funny, Jake Wexler said. Neither is money, Mr. Hu replied glumly. Deciding that his wife had found the perfect partner, the podiatrist moved on to the 2 women standing in silence at the front window. Cheer up, Angie Pye. You'll see your Denton soon enough. His daughter twisted out his embrace. Are you all right, Angela? I'm fine. She was not fine. Why did they ask about Denton all the time, as though she was nobody without him? Oh, it wasn't just that. It wasn't even the humiliation of her mother chiding her about the twin costume in front of everybody and sending her back to their apartment to change clothes. It was more than that. It was everything. Jake turned to Madame Hu. Hi there, partner. She doesn't speak English, Dad, Angela said flatly. And she never will, Angela, if no one talks to her. Snow, said Madame Hu. Jake followed her pointing finger. That's right, snow. Lots and lots of snow. Snow, trees, road, Lake Michigan. China, said Madame Hu. China? Sure, why not, Jake replied. China. Angela left the chatting couple. Why couldn't she have made some sort of friendly gesture? Because she might do the wrong thing and annoy her mother. Angela, the obedient daughter, did only what her mother told her to do. Hello, Angela. One of those tidbits might cheer you up. Judge Ford held the tray before her. I hear you'll be getting married soon. Some people have all the luck, Sidel Pulaski said, appearing from nowhere to lean over the tray to spear a cube of pork. Of course, not all us women have opted for marriage, right, Judge Ford? Some of us prefer the professional life. Though I must say, if a handsome young doctor like Denton Deere proposed to me, I might just change my mind. Too bad he doesn't happen to be twins. Excuse me, the judge moved away. I'm not having any luck at all, Angela, Sidel whined. If only your mother hadn't made you change clothes, someone surely would have mentioned twin. It's much harder to judge reactions when I have to bring up the subject myself. You shouldn't let your mother boss you like that. You're a grown woman about to be married. Excuse me, Angela moved away. Yes, thank you. I would like a refill, Sidel said to nobody and hobbled to the bar. Something non-alcoholic, please. Doctor's orders. Make it a double. Twins. Twins? What's she talking about? Theo wondered, staring at the black and white checkered costume. 2 ginger ales for the chessboard, coming right up. Hidden among her guests, the judge studied the 2 people standing off in the corner, the only pair in Sunset Towers who were not Westing heirs. George Theodoricus placed his hand on the shoulder of his invalid son, a large, bronze, hard-working hand, like Theo's. Theo resembled him in so many ways, tall, wide shoulders, slim-waisted, the same thick, straight black hair. But age had chiseled the father's face into sharper planes. His troubled eyes stared off across the room at Angela. Catherine Theodoricus, a slight, careworn woman, gazed down at her younger son with tired, dark-circled eyes. From his wheelchair, Chris watched legs. Other than the funny lady with the shorthand notes, the only limpers were his brother Theo and Mrs. Wexler, who stood on one leg, rubbing her stockinged foot against her calf. A high-heeled shoe stood alone on the carpet beneath her. Judge Ford didn't limp. Besides, she couldn't be a murderer, in spite of this clue. Nobody here looks like a murderer. They're all nice people, even this fat Chinese man who grumbles all the time. George Theodoricus greeted Mr. Hu with, "How's business?" Hu spun around and stomped off from his fellow restaurant owner in a huff of anger. James Hu, inventor, that's who the judge wanted to talk to, but there was a problem at the bar. A long line had formed and it wasn't moving. There are 16 white pieces and 16 black pieces in chess, Theo explaining to Sidel Pulaski. Do you play chess, Judge Ford? A bit, but I haven't played in years. The judge led the secretary away from the crowded bar. Theo must think the Westing game was something to do with chess. He may be right. It certainly is as complicated as a chess game. But I did study, Doug was arguing. The judge interrupted. I haven't had a chance to thank you for the delicious food, Mr. Hu. How long have you been in the restaurant business? Running up and down stairs is not studying, Hu said. Sidel Pulaski butted in. Father and son? You look more like twins. You're equal partners with that Theodoricus kid, Hu continued. Why didn't you insist on holding the meeting in our restaurant instead of that greasy coffee shop? Because some people don't like chow mein for breakfast, Sidel Pulaski replied. There you are, dear, Grace patted a stray wisp of Angela's hair into place. We must do something about your coiffure. I'll make an appointment for you with my hairdresser once the snow is cleared. Long hair is too youthful for a woman about to be married. I can't understand what got into you, Angela, coming to this party in that old checkered dress and those awful accessories. Just because your partner dresses like a freak. She's not a freak, Mother. I was just speaking to Mr. Hu about catering the wedding shower on Saturday. I arranged for little Madame Hu to serve in one of those slinky Chinese gowns. Where are you going? Angela! Angela rushed into Judge Ford's kitchen. She had to get away. She had to be alone, by herself, or she'd burst out crying. She was not alone. Crow was there. The 2 women stared at each other in surprise, then turned away. Poor baby. Crow wanted to reach out to the pretty child. She wanted to take her in her arms and say, poor, poor baby, go ahead and cry. But she couldn't. All she could say was, here. Angela took the dish towel from the cleaning woman and bunched it against her face to muffle the wenching sobs. The guests jabbering on and on about the weather, about food, about football, about chess, about twins. Turtle was slumped on the couch, scornful of dumb grown-up parties. You'd think one of them would know something about the stock market. She missed Sandy. Sandy was the only one in this dumb building she could talk to. Remember that quotation, "May God thy gold refine," Flora Bombach said. Let's take a poll. I'll bet 10 cents it's from the Bible. Shakespeare, Turtle argued, and make it $10. Oh my, well, all right, $10. Together they made the rounds, 4 votes for the Bible, 3 for Shakespeare, and 1 absentee. Madame Who did not understand the question. Sidel Pulaski voted for the Bobbsey twins. And how do you know those words were in the will? She asked suspiciously, too suspiciously. So that's what lost important business papers meant? Somebody stole the shorthand notes. Turtle smiled at the delicious nastiness of it all. I remember, that's all. If you remember so well, tell me what comes before that, Sidel challenged. I don't know, what? The secretary had an audience now. I don't mind telling you, but not if you ask like that. Theo said, please, not Turtle. Sidel turned toward him with what should have been a gracious manner, but she grimaced when the top of the crutch poked her in the chest. The exact quotation, she announced loudly, hoping she was right, is, spend it wisely, and may God thy gold refine. Right or wrong, her guess was received with groans of disappointment. The heirs had expected more. A hint, a clue, something. It was time to go home.